शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ॐ कृष्ण भगवान की जय। Okay, so we were looking at the gist of Srimad Bhagavatam. Previously, we have finished learning the Stotram Krishna Kavacham, I suppose. Yes, I think that's complete, right? Okay. So we were looking at the gist and a few stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. If I'm not wrong, I think last we had stopped on Dhruva Charitam. So let's continue. So Dhruva's story we all know. A great bhakta, child at the age of 5, who attained the darshana of the Lord, but still, even then, he wanted to attain a padavi. That is, though the Lord blessed him with Dhruva Padavi, that is the pole star which we see in the sky even till date, but still the Lord said that at the tender age of 5, I will not give you the Dhruva Padavi because there are certain duties which you have to do. You cannot run away from your duties and responsibilities. You are born as a Kshatriya. Please return back to your kingdom. Once your father retires, that is once Uttanapada retires, you have to take the responsibility of the kingdom in your hands. You have to get married, enter Grihastha beget children, ensure that your family dynasty moves ahead. So these are all certain duties which every human being has to do. And a very great lesson that Dhruva teaches us is, despite having problems is that in our way, we cannot, or rather we should not run away from our duties and responsibilities. How much ever great we are, whatever we do, whatever problems we face, when a great bhakta like Dhruva also was sent back by the Lord saying that first you complete your duties, then you will definitely attain Dhruva Padavi. What to talk about all of us? We should not run away from our responsibilities. With this, Dhruva Charitam comes to an end. Next, after Dhruva Charitam, we look at the story of Prithu Chakravarti Charitam. Prithu Chakravarti, an incarnation of Lord Narayana himself. Now, after Dhruva, there were many other kings who succeeded in the Vamsha of Dhruva, and also there were very good sages also. So you can say after the reign of Dhruva, it was like Satya Yuga. It was like everything which was happening was all good, good kings coming and establishing their kingdoms. Lot of, you can say, a lot of prosperity that was there. Sages were being doing a lot of things to contribute to our dharma and so on. So a lot of good things were happening after the lineage or after the reign of Dhruva. But after a lot of generations, a wicked king was born, that is Vena. So now this Vena was there as a small child. Also, he was very bad. He was very evil, and he used to torture not only human beings, animals, small children, babies, and so on. So a very very evil character was this person called Vena, and it so happened that this Vena was there. He also one fine day went to insult Lord Vishnu, it seems. And that's when many sages they cursed Vena, and that's how he was, due to the curse, he fell down dead, it seems. But now there are certain leelas of the Lord. Prithu Chakravarti Charitam is very, very important because that's how we get Mother Earth, Bhumi Devi. So from that, from Prithu Chakravarti only you get the name Prithvi for Mother Earth. So therefore, to contribute to the prosperity of Mother Earth also, because Mother Earth was being tortured by this Vena, in order to safeguard Prithvi Devi, that's when Prithu Chakravarti Avataram, an avatar of Lord Vishnu, was very much necessary. So even though this Vena had fallen down dead, the rishis through their yogic divine powers, what they did was, through, you can say, from his body parts also, from the parts of body parts of Vena, somewhat this child was created. Was you can say, no, it's not Krishna Karnamritam, we are talking about Srimad. Yeah. So what we see here was this Prithu Chakravarti came to be born from the body parts of Vena. So again, a Leela of the Lord. But now Prithu Chakravarti, Prithu Avataram that is there is a, you can say, not a Purna Avatar. Okay. So it is, unlike Krishna Avataram, Rama Avataram also, it's not Purna Avatar. It is half Avatar. We can consider a part Avatar or half Avatar of the Lord. Now this Prithu, after Veda, Prithu was crowned as the next king. And it so happened that one fine day there was, you can say, drought like conditions everywhere. Everyone became very sad. There was no rain for many years, no food available, and so on. That's when all the subjects they came to King Prithu and said that please do something because our kids are dying of starvation. We don't know what to do, this, that, and so on. So that's when they were thinking at that time. Prithu, he thought that to ensure that earth or this drought like situation should go away, what is most important is Bhumi Devi should be satisfied. Only if the earth gives proper crops also, only if the earth is prosperous, only then all the starvation will go away, proper crops will be grown, proper food will be available, and so on. So, what happened was, now why this drought like situation was because this Prithu Chakravarti, he found out that Bhumi Devi was holding all the crops and food grains that were growing on her. She was holding and keeping all that to herself, it seems. Now, why this was happening is, now Prithu got very angry and he wanted to punish Bhumi Devi for this. And at this time, what happened was, Bhumi Devi, she assumed the form of a dhenu, a form of a cow, and she started running here and there. And Prithu also started following. She ran in all the directions, here, there, to the three worlds, Bhuhu, Bhuaha, Swaha, everywhere she ran, Suvaha. And wherever she ran, she saw that King Prithu was following her. That's when finally Bhumi, she surrendered to the king's feet and said that you don't kill me because it doesn't suit you to kill a woman. So therefore you should not do this to me. That's when Prithu, he got very angry and he said that Dharma says that we should not kill women, but an evil and wicked woman like you should not survive at all. The same thing which Vishwamitra had told Rama. Rama was also a bit skeptical when he had to kill Tadaka. But if she does not have the qualities of a woman and for the prosperity of the world, as a Kshatriya, Rama had to do that, right? And of course, there are different leelas, she had a curse, this, that, and so on. Even in the case of Putana for Krishna in Krishna Avataram stories. So here also, Prithu says that you see, my subjects, my people on earth, they are dying of hunger. You are not providing food grains to them. So, what should do? I should definitely punish you, right? That's when Bhumi Devi she answered, saying that I have purposely not stopped providing food grains. There is a reason behind it. Now, what was that reason? She said that the food grains and the food that I was providing, it was being enjoyed and consumed by wicked and evil people. So this I could not bear because these people they were not doing any kind of worship, yajnas, religious observances. Nothing was being done by them. That's when I felt that I should not provide food grains to these people because maybe that is the only way that I can stop in my own way. I can stop wickedness also from spreading in the society. So this was Bhumi Devi's justification that she gave to Prithu. And she further she said that all the food grains, plants, everything I've kept within me. So now that you have come, I'm ready to provide that your subjects can also consume. And it seems that Prithu, after listening to Prithu, Bhumi Devi gave food grains, herbs, plants. The earth became prosperous again. At the same time, she gave back the Vedas. It seems the food, Somarasam, which is consumed by gods, ancestors, Prithus, everything was being given. Now, food that is given for the Prithus is called Kavya. That was also given for the Pitrus, that is for our ancestors, means. And all such things were being done. That's when Prithu was now very much pleased with Prithvi Devi and looked upon Bhumi Devi and looked upon her as his own daughter. That's how Bhumi Devi gets a name Prithvi. Now after this Prithu Chakravarti he performed a lot of Ashwamedha sacrifices, this sacrifice, that sacrifice, and so on. So this is Prithu Chakravarti's Charitam. And while Prithu was performing the sacrifice, Bhumi Devi comes there in the form of a cow and gives milk, ghee, and all such things which are necessary for the sacrifice. So here it seems while Prithu, now even though Prithu was a part avatara of the Lord, he used to worship Lord Vishnu, it seems, being a king. And there are many more stories that come in wherein during one fine Ashwamedha sacrifice also Indra comes and steals a horse of Prithu and so on. And that's when it seems that Prithu's son who was there, he goes and he tries to fight with Indra. Indra becomes afraid and so on. So like this, you have detailed stories of Prithu also. Now, here, this was an example wherein the people, the subjects who are there, they used to praise Prithu, it seems, saying that your father Veda was an evil person, but you, and a very good person, a very noble king. Just as Hiranyakashipu was an evil man, was evil demon, but he gave birth to a virtuous son, Prahlada. So this again, Prithu Chakravarti Charitam is to show that one is of course abundance of earth, Bhumi Devi that is shown. Second is once not only Prithu Chakravarti, even Narsimha Avataram, Prahlada Charitam and so on. It shows that one is not known by one's own family or where you are born, which kulam you are born, what you do, which class you belong, which caste you belong, it doesn't matter. What qualities, what gunam you have, what bad things you have in you, what good things you have in you, that's all ultimately matters. Now, this doesn't mean that we should not be proud of where we are born and so on or one's own family, but we have a very, you can say, very low mentality of wherein we compare people or we look upon people who he is born in so and so family and we judge people on that basis, right? But that should never ever be done. Our own scriptures have such examples. Prahlada, Prithu are best examples for this. So this is all about Prithu Chakravarti Charitam. Next we move on to Jadavarata's Charitam. Now Jadavarata, if you see, there was a king, Nabhi, and his queen was Meru Devi. Now, Nabhi and Meru Devi, they were not blessed with children for many years. That's when they started worshipping Lord Vishnu to bless them with a child. Now, their worship that was there, they were very much, you can say, very pure at heart. Their bhakti was like they just had one prayer that they want to be blessed with a child. That's when finally Maha Vishnu comes in front of them. He answers their prayers, and that's when he says that a son will be born to you. Now, finally, a son was born, and the parents named him as Rishabhadeva. Again, this Rishabhadeva, Rishabhanatha, is an avatara of Lord Narayana himself. Now, this Rishabhadeva, when he became big or so, Nabhi felt that now I have grown old. He appoints Rishabhadeva as the next king. Now, and both Nabi and Meru Devi, both of them, they are sent to Vanaprastha Ashrama, they go to Badrikashram today. That's when they retire to the forest, they decide to end their life that way and so on. That they want to spend the remaining days of their life in worshipping the Lord. Now, if you see this Rishabhadeva, though he was a king, he was a sage, like Janaka also. Rajya Rishi. There is something called Raja Rishi. This is a Padavi. This though you are at the position of a king, you have qualities like a sage, like Janaka, Sita's father. That's an example. Similarly, here Rishabhanatha also, though he was ruling as a king, he was a sage, and his wife's name was Jayanti. Now they had hundreds of sons. Of them, the eldest was Bharata. Now Bharata too, like is not Bharata. Some people call Bharata. That's how our country has been named. So Bharata Desha. Now this Bharata, he was also a perfect yogi like his father Rishabhanatha. And it is after Bharata that our Desham gets the land, the name Bharatavarsham. Himalayam samarabhya yavat Indu sarovaram tam deva nirmitam desham Bharatavarsham prachakshate or Hindustanam prachakshate. Hindustanam some people don't accept. So you can call it as Bharatavarsham prachakshate. Yeah. Now Bharata he was a great man and it seems that Rishabhadeva he told all his sons that you should also always be on the path of moksha, your ultimate aim is this, that, and so on. And he also retires to the forest. Now, Bharata also, he became the next king now, and his queen was Panchajani, and they had in all five sons together, and they also used to worship the Lord and so on. Now, again, Bharata, as the custom goes about, after he grew old, he had to hand over the responsibility of the kingdom to his sons. And wherein after retirement, that is, after handing over the reins of the kingdom to one of his sons, he retires to a place called Salagrama Kshetram. Now, where is this Salagrama Kshetram? It is in today's Nepal. Even today, if you go to Nepal, the Salagrama Shila or Shaligrama Shila, which is used for the worship of Lord Vishnu, like we use Shivalinga for worshipping Lord Shiva, similarly, the Shaligrama Shila is used for worshipping Lord Vishnu. Some people have the tradition of worshipping the Shaligrama that is found even today in the Gandaki river, which is in today's Nepal. So this Saligrama Kshetram is on the banks of the river Gandaki, which flows in Nepal even till date. And this river is famous for this Shaligrama stones that are there. And there on the banks of the Gandaki, Bharata he retires there. And that's when what happened was he sees a female deer who had come to the river to drink water. Now, as it was drinking, suddenly it heard a tiger roaring, tiger or lion you can consider, roaring from somewhere. That's when the female deer, the doe, it got afraid. Suddenly it heard a lion roaring. And this female deer was there, she was carrying a young one inside her. And that's when it seems that it, in that fear, what happened is from the river while it was drinking water, it leapt. It, you can say, it jumped over the river. It wanted to cross the river and go to that side. It was in its last days of labor. So while the deer jumped, it seems that the water broke. Just as we say water breaks during labor, similarly the water broke from the female deer's stomach, and the little fawn, the little one was there, it fell into the river, it seems. Now the mother, what happened is, looking at this, first of all, it was afraid that it heard a lion roaring. Secondly, while it was jumping, now there was so much of pain, right? When the child falls down, so much of pain that happens during delivery. That was point two. Next, it sees its own child falling down in the river. Looking at all this, it faints and it dies. The deer dies. Now Bharata, the king, he was watching all this, and now what happened is he felt pity for the young one who was there, and says that I have been caring this I have retired to the forest, no doubt. I've taken care of my five sons, I've cared for them so much. So this deer is also, this small deer is also the young one of someone, so I should definitely take care of it. That's when he gets a bit deviated from his life. Whatever he was doing, he was a great king, this, that, everything he forgets, and he gets totally attracted towards this young one. And now what happened is, every day, now he had retired to the forest to do tapasya, to become detached from the world, this, that. But now his world revolved around this small fawn, this small deer was there. Every day he used to feed it, he used to take care of it, he used to fetch for it, everything used to happen. And full day, what happened is, so much of attachment he developed towards this deer that he could not think of anything else except for this deer. Now, slowly in the course of time, what happened is, this Bharata, he started neglecting his prayers, worship, everything he forgot in the course of time. Now, Bharata had grown old. Yamadutas came at the time of death. And what happened is, that he was constantly thinking about the deer. Now, it is always said that when a person dies, the thoughts which are there in a person's mind, the last thoughts, the same thing will happen in the next Janma also, of course, based on one's karma. So now, while this was being talked about, what happened is, now because Bharata was constantly thinking about this deer, in the next birth he was born as a deer only. Now, but now it is, now that is the reason why we say that right from a young age or so we should develop bhakti towards the Lord. We should keep chanting the names of the Lord. Why so? Only if we start something early, the same thing remains with us lifetime. It's not only for, you can say, chanting the names of the Lord or for worship, for a religious purpose only, for anything, right? Why do we send children to school at a young age? So that the child cries initially, but later it becomes used to it. It knows, okay, every day I have to get up in the morning and go somewhere, sit there for 3 4 hours or so, and it is a part of my life now. Why does it cry initially? Because it is not used to it. But it gets used to quickly because it has not seen the world, right? At the age of 2 3 or so, when it goes, it's not seen the world much, and it knows that, okay, for the next 10 years, 15 years or so, I have to do the same thing. But the same child, if the first 10 years or so it's just allowed to enjoy, eat, sleep, eat, play, run here and there, and then maybe at the age of 10 or so you send the child to school, the child will not sit. Why? Because it is not used to, it has already seen the outside world. So the point is, whenever we start something early in life, it remains with us, it becomes a practice, right? Now say, now you want to start something new. Say for example, let's take an example of the Gita. Maybe before we started learning the Gita, you would have heard from people here, there, or you yourself would have felt, oh, it's so difficult, oh, it's so difficult. But once actually you keep the book in your hand and you read it maybe every day, it doesn't come on day one, it doesn't come on day two, but maybe after a month or so it comes. After a month, you'll never say that this is difficult, right? But for that, constantly doing that thing for 30 days is something which is very, very important. So, here also, so that's the reason it is said that whatever you do throughout your life, the same thoughts linger in our mind at the last minute, last moment of our life. So here, because Bharata was constantly thinking about the deer, the same thoughts came to his mind at the time of death, and in the next birth, he was born as a deer. But now, what happened is, the memory of his previous birth did not leave him. So though he had got the physical body of a deer, he had thoughts in his mind. So here what happened is Bharata started regretting. Though he had the physical form of a deer, thoughts were there. So he started regretting. Oh, I should have not done this. With so much of efforts, I ruled over the kingdom, shaking off all those attachments, giving up everything. I came to the forest, and what did I do? I got attached to this deer. I spent my life doing that. Now I'm born as a deer now. Now that's when what happened is he said that now at least what I'll do, I will start meditating on Lord Vasudeva and I'll return to Saligram Kshetram now. And there I'll spend my time in the midst of sages and I'll wait for this life to end so that I'll lose this life of a deer. Now again, time of death came in this deer birth also at the bank on the banks of the river Gandaki. Bharata in the form of a deer, he gave up his life. Now this, however, was not again Bharata's last birth. पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपयापारे पाहि मुरारे. Adi Shankaracharya says in the Bhajagovindam, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. So for a great person like Bharata also, if it is Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, what to think about all of us? Of course, let's not talk about rebirth and things like that. Now, let's not worry about it. Let us do good karma now, whatever is there in our hands. The Lord has at least blessed us with something good with His grace that we are able to listen to the stories of the Lord. That itself, let us be happy for that. So now here what happened is the first birth is done, Bharata is born as a king. Second birth is done, he is born as a deer. Now again a third birth. Now what happens in the third birth? Now here he was born as a son of a Brahmana. He was born as a son of a scholar. Now again with the Lord's grace, he remembered the memory of his two previous births. That is one as a king and second as a deer. And again now he started repenting, saying that now for the last two births, though I'm putting in efforts, I could not get moksham at all. This birth definitely I should get. Now what he does that, now here he is very much afraid. Now you do something once, you realize it later. But before doing the same mistake second time, you think about it twice, right? I'll give a very simple example. You tell the child not to go near fire, it will not listen. But once the child gets a burn on his hand, by itself also, even if the fire is far away, it will not even come in that room. Why? Because it has already experienced it once. So once you can do a mistake, second time you do, it becomes a, it's not a mistake, you have done it on purpose, right? Or we think twice before we doing something, before we do something, because once whatever we have done has gone wrong, right? So here also the same thing happened. Now Bharata becomes afraid, saying that again if I develop attachment in my third birth also, then it might lead to problems now. Now what he did was, now to be free from all kinds of attachment, it seems that he pretended to be a very dull person also, very stupid fellow, so that nobody will come and talk to him and so on, and there is no question for attachment. Only if people come and talk, then slowly attachment develop, relationships develop, and so on. So he wanted to be away from all this, and that's when he decides that it's let's not get into all this. Next, what happens is now because of this, what happened is the entire world started looking upon him as a very dull person, and that's when he gets his name as Jada Bharata. Jada meaning a very dull person, or you can say like a stupid fellow also. And it seems that now, because of this, now if a person is weak or so, it is human tendency, or there are some weak people in the society who take advantage of such people, right? So that's when they used to make him work on the field. They used to give him a lot of hard work to do, a lot of hard physical work to do, and so on. And maybe he was not offered proper food, things like that. So he was being ill treated a lot. Now, because of this, what happened is, but this was like a bonus for Jadabharata because he was being free from all kinds of attachments and he was never being affected. He never felt bad that people are treating me this way. In fact, he was happy that it's good that people are not coming near me, I'm not getting attached. I'm busy in whatever work they are telling, I'm doing that. But I'm spending my time in remembering Lord and going on the path of moksha. Once it so happened that now here further the story was about that one fine day there was a sacrifice which was about to take place for goddess. Now and a bali had to be offered. That's when the group of people who were doing that they felt that this Jadabharata can be offered as a sacrificial man also. Now to offer something in sacrifice, every limb, you can say every part of the body, that should be perfect. There should be no accidents, no marks, nothing here and there. And what they happened is they decided to behead Jadabharata. Jadabharata was very much calm because, in fact, he was happy that maybe I'll attain moksha this way. Now, suddenly, what happened is Goddess Bhadrakali, Goddess Parashakti, she comes there and she says that the sacrificer who was there, who was about to cut off the head of Jadabharata, the goddess comes and immediately snatches the knife from thief's hand, and it seems that she chopped off the heads of all those other people. Now, all those other people who were there, they were actually thieves. And now here a very very important lesson that the Lord Himself or the goddess herself, they come down to protect devotees who are close to them, right? And that's when Jadabharata was totally unaffected of all this. And next, what happened is Jadabharata just moved about here and there. Now, later, what happened is there was a king who came in, and the king also was came to that place, and he also, it seems that he started mocking Jadabharata because he was a king of that land, and such a stupid person, such a dull-witted person, and so on. And he said that now this Jadabharata who was there, he was totally, like you can say, a great yogi. So for, you can say, for sages also, maybe now we people like us, we don't have such experiences, but you can see some yogis, or maybe in some works you would have read, they're not at all affected whatever you tell them, right? Whereas for us, even if someone does not mean something, indirectly also someone tells us, we are immediately affected, right? But there are some people, you see, even in our own surrounding, you'll find that how much ever you tell them, it doesn't mean that you keep on telling a person, the person does not improve. I'm not talking in that sense, but you see, they are free from arguments. Let anyone speak anything, it doesn't matter to me. I am focusing on my life. Some people are there of this way. So this Jadabharata also was talking about this way, and the king and Jadabharata, they had an argument. That's when this Jadabharata started talking about, you can say, such great philosophical terms also. What is the self? You have this body, I also have this body. There are 24 hours, even I have 24 hours. So I'm just giving you an example in easy terms. So both of them, they started, like Jadabharata started speaking in such a way, saying that there is no difference at all. It's just the bodily nature, like someone is thin, someone is fat also. But the Atma inside everyone is the same. So listening to all this, the king felt that surely, though this person looks dull and very stupid from outside, he's surely a great person. Otherwise, he will not speak this way. Now, this incident that is there is somewhat similar to an incident from Adi Shankaracharya's life. Anyone knows which incident? Like from the outside, a person might look like a fool or a very weird form. Chandal, correct. And that's when he composed a stotram, Manisha Panchakam. Anyone has heard Manisha Panchakam? Apasara, Apasara. That's when he says Apasara, Apasara. Wherein to move, move. Shankaracharya's attendants tell the Chandala. Chandala is like a, you can say, very weird to look at, very dirty, you can consider, like so called sadhus also were there. Sadhus, when I say like those Aghori sadhus, you go to some pilgrimage places, not very pleasant. Not having a very pleasant personality was this Chandala. That's when Adi Shankaracharya's attendants go and tell him, Apasara, Apasara, move, move, the Guru is coming. That's when the Chandala says that, whom are you telling to move? Are you telling my body to move or my Atma to move? Shankaracharya hears these words and says that, please stop. None but Lord Shiva himself had come to test. That's when, on the banks of Narmada, Adi Shankaracharya composes Manisha Panchakam. He says that very great lesson that is taught, and through this reference, Shankaracharya tries to convey one more message is, who at what point of time comes to our life and will teach what to us we never know. It may not be that only a great person or a great acharya can give us lessons or so. It can be anyone, like a Chandala in this case. So here also, though this Jadabharata looked like a dull and wicked person, he was the one who gave great lessons. That's when the king fell at the feet of the Lord, of feet of Jadabharata, and that king's name was Rahuguda. His Ajnanam vanished because of this. Jadabharata, he continued to move about in the move about on Bhumi, on earth. He was not being affected by anything around. And in some ways, if you see, so this is the Charitam of Jadabharata, such a great person after whom our Bharatavarsha has been named. And it seems that the Srimad Bhagavatam itself says that whoever reads the story of Jadabharata, they will be blessed with prosperity, you can say fame, bliss, and so on. So with this, Jadabharata's Charitam also comes to an end. Okay, till here is everyone following? Yes. Next is Ajamala Charitam. Okay. Ajamala Charitam, we know Ajamala. Now, initially, Ajamala was a good person. He was Ajamala. He was a good person. Initially, he was on the right path. He was on the dharmic path, following all his duties properly. But somehow, like all of us, we also get distracted in our path. Similarly, this Ajamala also got distracted in his life. He went on the wrong path. But one thing that he did was he named his last son as Narayana, the name of the Lord. At the correct. On the last days of his life, what happened is when he was sick, also when he was on his deathbed, he called out to the son Narayana. That's when Yamadutas had come to take the life of Ajamila. Because he called out to his son Narayana, at that time, Vishnu Dutas came down, they drove Yamadutas away. That's when Yamadutas had a problem. They go and ask their Lord Yama, saying this, we went to take this life of Ajamila because he has done lot of Papa Karma. That's when Vishnu Dutas came and they drove us away, saying that this person has done a lot of good deeds. But what we know is he's gone on the evil path. That's when Yama Moser, he says that just one Nama of the Lord he chanted, though unconsciously. Now Ajamila did not remember Lord Narayana actually. He remembered his son Narayana. Son was named as Narayana, that's it. So even unconsciously also if you chant the names of the God, it's going to give you moksha or it's going to give you mukti like it happened. Or it's going to give you a place in Vaikuntham like it happened in the case of Ajamila. So what to think if you chant the names of the Lord consciously? You chant once Narayana, but what happens is this Narayana Namam. Now, however, how much ever we think this is easy, it's not at all so. Right? To chant the names of the Lord or to develop interest, to listen to the stories of the Lord, listen to the prayers of the Lord, it's something which takes a lot of efforts. Right? Because our mind, human mind, is something which can get distracted very easily. So we might feel, what great it is. But on the last deathbed, that is like we saw in the previous story, doing something right from the beginning of our life is important. Only then towards the end also, the same thing remains with us. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So here also, in the case of Ajamala, that Narayana Namam, though he called out to his son Narayana, how come it came? Is because of some good karma which he had done before. So it doesn't mean that Ajamala is an exception. So I'll do Papa karma all through my life and last one fine day I'll end up calling Narayana. It doesn't happen that way. You cannot cheat the Lord, right? So it is due to one's own karma. That's the reason. Whenever we are doing now or whenever we are good to know. Today we are chanting, we are listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. Tomorrow maybe we might lose interest, right? We never know. So today we are listening. If that interest is there, or even if I am speaking something about Bhagavatam, the Lord Himself is making us do this, right? Tomorrow the same Lord can remove that interest based on our karma. So that's the reason why great people say that Sadbuddhi, Satsangam is only things that you must ask when your buddhi is good. That is, whenever you feel like praying something, whenever you feel like asking something to the Lord, you must ask for only these two things, Sadbuddhi and Satsangam. When our intellect is good, Sadbuddhi, we'll ask only for right things. And Satsangam, when we are surrounded with good people, only good things do happen, like Srimad Bhagavatam and so on. So, this was the story of Ajamila. Next is Vritrasura. Vritra. Now, Vritrasura was killed by Indra using his Vajrayudha. Now, Vritra, if you see, what happened is one fine day, Indra was sitting in his Indralok, and Brihaspati is the guru of gods. Now, you can say by mistake or so, or you can say in a fluke. Now, sometimes it happens, right? We are not that attentive. Indra, he ignored Brihaspati, and that's when Brihaspati got very angry and he just walked out of the assembly of Indra. And now Indra became afraid. He didn't know what happened, and then later he realized that, I did not respect Brihaspati who's sitting here, and that's because that's why maybe. Brihaspati has gone away from you. Now, if Guru Kataksham is not there, then Asuras will surely attack us. And as Indra said this, Asuras attacked, and that's when Vritrasura he came and attacked. Now, who is this Vritrasura? Now, Brahma. Now, all these gods initially what they did was they all ran to Brahma to tell that this thing has happened. Guru Brihaspati has moved about. Now, the Asuras have attacked us. You please tell us a solution. That's when Brahma says that in this case, even I cannot help because you have made a great mistake by insulting your own Guru Brihaspati. So, therefore, what you can do is you go to a person called Vishwarupa. Who is this Vishwarupa? Vishwarupa is a son of Twashta. Now, who's Twashta? Twashta is the name of a Brahmana. You go and tell him and you request him to become your guru. And you tell him that you fight on our behalf and so on. Now, Twashta, who was there, was the son of Aditi. Aditi, the mother of God. So, Twashta is like a brother also of Indradi Devas. And Indradi Devas, they go to this Vishwarupa, and Vishwarupa had 3 heads and the same number of, you can say, mouth, things like that. So, his facial features, everything was 3 in number. Now, what happened is, now this Vishwarupa who was there, he was a bit partial to the Asuras. Now, though Brahma told that you go and seek the help of Vishwarupa, this Vishwarupa was on the side of Asuras a bit. Why so? Because Asuras were related to him from his maternal side. How so? Aditi's sister is Diti, right? So actually the Asuras are also his cousins only. So somewhat this Vishwarupa was there, he had a bit of affection on his maternal side relations. Now what happened is this became very very angry and the Devas felt that if so much of partiality is going to be there, then it's going to be very very difficult. Now what happened is all the gods, what they did was they now this Vishwarupa's father, Vishwarupa's father was Twashta. So Twashta and Vishwarupa both together they made a plan that we'll do a sacrifice and we'll do a sacrifice and form a plan to defeat Indra. That's from the sacrifice emerges Vritrasura. And just when Vritrasura came out of the sacrificial fire, it seems that all the devas they ran here and there. Now initially they went to Brahma. Now they have come to Narayana. Lord Narayana says that you go to say it's Dadiji and ask him to give you his bones. Using those bones with the help of Vishwakarma, architect of the gods, you create the Vajrayudam, which is the popular thunderbolt, Vajrayudam of Lord Indra. And using that, you'll be able to cut off the head of Vritrasura. So the same thing did. And here what happened is, finally, Indra, after he went to Sage Dadichi, he got the Vajrayudam, things like that, and he challenged Vritrasura that you come for battle, you come and fight with me now. Now, here what happened is, finally Indra he cut off the head of Vritrasura. Now this Vritrasura, he was actually a Brahmana who was there. Now because he had come out of the sacrificial fire. So now Brahmana dosham was there on Indra. So Indra was feeling a bit guilty because he had done Brahma Hatya. That is a Hatya sin of killing a Brahmana. And it seems that what he did was he disappeared all of a sudden from Swargaloka. He went to the Himalayas to do tapasya. Now, and it seems that he hid himself inside a lotus stalk or so for thousands of years, and he was doing tapasya. He was remembering Lord Hari, and that's when what happened is now the gods were also being feeling miserable because their lord, their king was not there, and and they were also afraid that now because the king is not there, the Asuras might end up attacking them again. And at that time, a person called Nahusha was there, and this Nahusha, in the absence of Indra, came to Indra's wife Shachidevi and says that now that Indra is not there, you please become my wife. That's when Shachidevi becomes very angry. In the absence of Indra, she goes to their Guru Brihaspati, and Brihaspati. Now, by this time, what happened is Brihaspati had forgotten or forgiven all the arrogant behavior of Indra that before he had not respected him and so on. So now he said that you don't have to fear anything, that your husband Indra is going to return back soon and Nahusha also will not cause you any harm. You just go and do one thing. You tell Nahusha that you are ready to live with him. You are ready to, uh, as he has desired, you are ready for that. And you just do what I'm telling. And further, Shachi Devi, Brihaspati tells Shachi Devi that you tell this Nahusha who is there to come to Indra Lokam sitting on the palanquin. As told by Brihaspati, the same thing is done by Shachi Devi, and Nahusha was brought. Now here what's happened is, now Agastya, now many other sages were also there, and Agastya and many other sages, they were carrying the palanquin inside which this Nahusha was sitting. Now what happened is, now when you are carrying a palanquin, obviously the speed is going to be slow because of the weight of the person and also the weight of the palanquin. So Nahusha felt very angry that the speed was quite slow, and he ended up kicking Agastya. Agastya Rishi was also there, asking him, and he kicked Agastya and told him to move fast, it seems. Now Sarpa Sarpa he said. Sarpa Sarpa meaning go fast. Now Sarpa, one meaning is to move on, like a Sarpa moves fast. Another meaning is actually a serpent, a snake. Agastya got very angry, ended up cursing Nahusha and said that because you have said Sarpa Sarpa, you will be born as a serpent only. Immediately Nahusha was transformed into a serpent, and right from Swargaloka he fell down to Prithvi, he fell down to Bhuloka. That's when Indra also he returned back, all his sins had gone away. For thousands of years he had prayed on Lord Hari, and he did Ashwamedha sacrifice along with Shashti Devi, he got back the throne also. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam says that listening to this story ensures that one will be free from all kinds of sins. So this is also a great story of Dhritarashtra. Next is Prahlada Charitam, which we have or many times we have discussed. We just look upon that. Now, Narsimha Avataram and Prahlada Charitam or Dhruva Charitam, Samudra Manthanam, these are all stories that get repeated majorly in the Puranas. Hiranyakashipu, a great asura, but a person who felt that only he has to be worshipped. Hiranyakashipave Namaha. This Nama has to be told and not Vishnave Namaha. What, and when he realized that his son is a great devotee of Vishnu. Now, when Prahlada was there in the womb of his mother Kayatu, at that time Narada comes there to instill bhakti in Prahlada. And while Prahlada was there hmm, inside the womb of Kayadu, at that time only to develop bhakti bhava, because Narada knew that being with Hiranyakashipu will never ever help Prahlada knowing anything about Vishnu, bhakti, and so on. So what he did was, it seems that while Narada used to talk about bhakti, devotion to Vishnu and so on, Kayatu used to sleep, it seems. But the child inside was very much attentive. That's the reason it is said that in the later days of pregnancy, also maybe after the 6-7 month or so, the child inside can listen to what you're doing. That's the reason the mother should spend things doing positive things and so on and listen. This is one reason. So the child inside the womb, Prahlada, he could listen to all this and he developed bhakti in him. Bhakti grew in him. Now, after Prahlada was born, Hiranyakashipu, he tried to bring Prahlada under his control, but there was no use. That's when finally he decided to get rid of Prahlada. What not he did to get rid of Prahlada? Threw him from a mountain, threw him into fire, called different asuras to kill him, called different elephants to trample upon him, and so on, but nothing worked. Every time Lord Vishnu came to save him, threw him from a mountain, the child he fell like a feather also. Very swiftly he fell down. Elephants, through elephants did not even move upon him. Even if they came upon him, it was like they just touched upon and went. Fire did not seem to be hot at all for the child. So this was all bhakti. That's when finally Hiranyakashipu gave up, and continuously one fine day he called Prahlada and said, "What Vishnu, Vishnu you are saying everywhere? Where is your Lord?" That's when Prahlada says that my Lord is everywhere. He's there in you, he's there in me also. That's when Hiranyakashipu questions, "Is he there in this pillar?" Prahlada said, "Yes, he is there in this pillar." To make this Vakyam of his devotee true, of his Bhakta true, Vishnu in the form of Narasimha came out of that pillar. Why in the form of Narasimha? Because Hiranyakashipu had got a boon. He had taken a boon from Brahma that no human, no man, no animal, not in the morning, not in the evening, and so on, like not on land, not on sky. That's the reason why the Lord came in the form of half man, half animal, not in the evening, not in the morning, during the horizon time. When the day is about to end, night is about to start. Not on land, not on earth. So that's when came through a pillar. At the same time, not on land, not on sky, he came through a pillar. Then at the same time, no weapon has to be used, no body part has to be used. That's when nails were being used. No body part in the sense, no weapons, external weapons can be used. That's when he tore apart the stomach of Hiranyakashipu using his nails. So this is nothing but how Narasimha Bhagavan came. Now Narasimha Bhagavan is a very fierce form of the Lord, but he showed his fierce form to Hiranyakashipu, but he tended Prahlada like his own child. If you have seen some photos, he calls upon Prahlada, makes him sit on his lap, and you can say showers his hand and so on, shoulders him to ensure that Prahlada is consumed. Of course, there are many other stories wherein later Prahlada he wanted to uh, pray to Narsimha or so, and again now Prahlada had one more gunam. Though his father Hiranyakashipu was evil, he didn't want Narsimha to look upon him only as evil. He wanted his father also to become a great bhakta. So like this, there are stories, a very beautiful story of Prahlada. So a very easy question comes. Prahlada called out and said that in this pillar the Lord is there, and the Lord came out. Same thing if I call, the Lord doesn't come. Some people argue on such terms. Very simple answer is your bhakti is not like Prahlada. That's the only answer. You also develop bhakti like Prahlada. You also develop bhakti like Dhruva. You go to the forest and do tapasya maybe without being aware of the external environment, then definitely the Lord also will come and manifest in front of us. But for human beings like you and me, even concentrating on the Lord for a minute is a great task. And even if the Lord comes in front of our eyes, we are not ready to believe because we are used to seeing the Lord in a form of an idol image and so. So this is our bhakti, right? And then we question saying that Prahlada called, he came, the Lord came in the form of a pillar, all this is nonsense, right? There are people who say such things. For this is the justification. So this is all about Prahlada Charitam, Narasimha Charitam. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho Smaranam Padasevanam Arshanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyamatmanivedanam. Now here, one fine day what happened is before all this, Hiranyakashipu, he called out Prahlada. Now he sent Prahlada to the Gurukulam. When he sent to the Gurukulam, what happened is Prahlada started instilling bhakti on the fellow students also. Hiranyakashipu wanted to get rid of this one Prahlada who was worshipping Vishnu. But what this Prahlada did, he started instilling Vishnu bhakti on all other fellow students also. One minute, just hold on. Yeah. So that's when one fine day Hiranyakashipu calls and tells her, today what did you learn in school? What did your Acharya teach you? That's when he recites this book. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho. Next, Iti Pumsarpita Vishno Bhaktischain Navalakshana Kriyate Bhagavatyadha Tanmanyedi Tamuttamam. Wherein hearing and chanting Shravanam, hearing, chanting Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, remembering the Lord, serving the feet of the Lord, offering him flowers, also worshipping him, Varchanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, serving him, being Sakhyamatmam, being the Lord's best friend. All these and surrendering to him. Atmani Vedanam. These are the things which one should do because this is nothing but complete bhakti and devotion to the Lord. One who has these qualities, he is a true bhakta. And this is the highest level. These are 9 things. Navavida Bhakti. These are 9 things which should be there in a bhakta. And hearing these words, Hiranyakashipu got very angry. And he said that he called his teacher and he says that you are the one who have taught such things to the teacher. He calls the teacher and says that you are the one who is teaching such things to my child. How dare you? That's when the teacher says that I have not taught this to your child. He himself knew all these things, and it is his own view. You don't blame me at all. He is the one who is uh, coming and telling all such things. And all this has happened because while the child was there inside the womb only, Narada had taught him about bhakti. And that's when Hiranyakashipu said that from where you got such ideas in your mind, that is, from where did you learn all this bhakti towards the Lord? Prahlada does not answer him for this question. He continued saying that we must worship the feet of the Lord and so on, we'll be free from this samsara. Yata brahmyatyato brahman swayamakarša sannidau tata me vidyate chetaha chakrapanedyadrichaya. Prahlada, he says that the Lord himself has made me this way like a magnet pulls things towards itself. Similarly, Lord Vishnu having the Sudarshana Chakram, Chakrapani Dharchaya, the Sudarshana Chakra is like a magnet also, which pulls devotees. So therefore, my mind is also being pulled by the Lord only. So it is nothing but the Lord's grace only that has happened. So like this, Prahlada talks about Krishna Bhakti, that is there. Angam galitam palitam mundam dashana vihinam jatam tundam vriddho yati grihitva dandam tadapi na munchatyasha pindam. Verse from Vajagovindam, as quoted by Adi Shankaracharya, wherein he says that Prahlada also teaches, saying that a very, very important thing, he says that bhakti has to start from day one as a small child. Otherwise, angam palitam palitam mundam. Teeth are gone, hair is gone, everything is gone, and then I'm thinking about bhakti because I don't have anything to do. That should not happen. Bhakti should start from a tender age like Prahlada. With this, Prahlada Charitam comes to an end, Narasimha Charitam comes to an end. Next, further, we have the story of Gajendra Moksha that comes in. Gajendra Moksha, Skandam 3, starts with Gajendra Moksha. Right? One. Gajendra Moksham, I think a few of us we had learned, right? The shloka. Hmm. Gajendra Moksha is which Skanda 8, right? Sorry, Skanda 8, chapter 3. Skanda 8, chapter 3 is Gajendra Stuti or Gajendra Moksha Stuti. Okay, so with this we will stop here for today. We continue next week.